about to speak to, Nick Ashman's got a little bit more than the $3.50, I dare say, after he tipped it to us a couple of weeks ago. Good morning to you, Nick.
Yes, good morning, boys. As they say in the classics, you cannot eat overs, but that's all right. We'll give it a cheer anyway on the weekend. Yeah, $26 he was a couple of weeks ago when we had a chat, and he won that gloaming, I thought, pretty impressively, and he goes into Saturday's race courtesy of a good barrier draw as what I think will be a pretty warm favourite.
All right, $3.50. Attica at $3.90, Within the Law at $4.80, and then it's just out the door. The rest really $15 and up is the remainder of the field. Does the market, are you thinking that's correct?
Yeah, I think that's about right. Look, from a speed map point of view, Shangri-La's got two options here. You can go to the front, which is where he was in the gloaming. Now, the gloaming, by the way, has provided 13 winners since the year 2000 into more than 50% of the winners, the spring champion winners, have come from the gloaming stakes in this century. So it really is the dominant lead-up race. He can go to the front if he wants to, but here's the thing. He might also just sit to the outside of the Pearls through that first few hundred metres. Let Champagne Hero come across, the stablemate, take up the top spot. I don't think Attica, if they do that, Champagne Hero's got any option but to follow him across. And that might mean Attica's outside lead, the Pearls is behind the leader, and all of a sudden Shangri-La boys, one out, one back, stalking Attica, which is a lovely position for him as well. That's, I reckon, the absolute best case scenario for him. But if he has to lead, that's also not a bad scenario. So I think either way he gets a good map. Attica's got I don't think any option but to roll forward. He does have the early speed to do it. I know he hasn't always necessarily been on speed, but we know he's got the early speed to do it, so he should be right up there. Horses like Federalist and Within the Law probably have no option but to go back from their wide gates. The two horses that I think are probably over the odds here, guys, now that we've secured the 26 and Shangri-La Boy, She's Diva, number 14, she ran the best last 200 metres of the race in the gloaming, and she was held up a couple of times in the straight. So she's probably one that you can entertain her at $34, $35, whatever she is now, $31, something like that. She's a nice little lead-to-way play for your listeners. And also number 10, Crusader Voyage. Now, he's been beaten as an odds-on favourite his last two starts. When I look at his sectionals, he does present as just a bit of a at least a mile and a quarter horse, 2,000-metre horse. So he's been beaten in slowly run sort of mile races, 1,500-metre races at his last two starts. Now he gets up to 2,000. He's probably going to get more pace in the race, and he gets a set of blinkers on. He's got the master in his corner, Chris Waller. So if you're playing exotics, trifectas, or if you took the 26 on Shangri-La and you want to have a couple of other big plays, try She's Diva and Crusader Voyage.
All right, a couple of longer odds there. Nick, the Craven Plate over the 1,800 metres, Lindeman's come up really short in the market here, but comes up with a nice draw, Nash on board, and was very, very impressive in the Hill Stakes last time out. Is it worthy of including in any multiples, or are we looking for an upset here in the Craven Plate?
Look, I don't know if there'll be an upset, but I don't know if I want to bank on Lindemann as my anchor for a multi. Look, he's found really good form this year. Chris has got him into a really good frame of mind, and we saw that even in the autumn. You know, he had form around Veer and the big guns in the autumn that you know boded quite well. You got to remember he was beaten. Well, he split Veer Sistina and Faulkner Park in the Randwick. He wasn't far off Vauban in the Sky High. It's no surprise, and he was third behind Veer and Fangirl in the Very Elegant Stakes, and was second to Fangirl first up. It's no surprise to see him do this preparation. He should just come out and win. The only query for me is just that he's getting a little bit deep into a preparation. He's now fifth up, and they just can't go to the well too often. So I don't want to bet against him, but I won't be putting him into my multis. If you want one horse that might be able to cause a minor ball over, but you're not getting a massive price about him, it's Militarise. He was a long way back in Lindemann's Hill Stakes. The race wasn't run at a fast tempo at all, and I don't think he had any hope. The problem is it might be the same again. They've got to find a way to put him a bit closer to the speed. If they can do that, he can cause a ball over fourth up.
All right, race number 7 on the program, the Calendar Presnels. Also for the 3-year-olds, over the mile, scratch 7 and 10. Is there any play in this race? Do we like the race or do we move on?
Yeah. Look, I like Farnicle. He was 11 to 1,400 metres second up last time out. We had a pretty good go at him on our Worksburger product, and he got beaten by O'Hope, who's in this race. But that 11 to 1,400, the pace was fast. They went well above standards for the first 800 metres of that 1,400 metre contest, and that's because everything was winning from up on top of the speed. And in the end, even though he's an on-pace galloper, it was his undoing. He would have been better off if they were winning a little bit out wider that day, because it probably would have taken the pace out of the race. O'Hope's no slouch. He was pretty handy. He was second to Napoleonic 2 starts ago. Napoleonic's one of the favourites for the Group 3 Red Anchor Stakes, and he got the better of Farnicle last time out. So, and then the fly in the ointment, though, is Rivellino. He comes back from a Caulfield Guineas. So my head tells me Farnicle should be able to win this race. He's on the way through. But I'm just worried about, O'Hope, now that he's had that win again, maybe that confidence builder, and also Rivellino just dropping massively back in class. So it's probably a bit of a no-bet race for me.
All right, and the Group 2 Invitation, Miss Roombini, our $4 favourite on the fixed odds, Manal 460 Gangster Granny back in the winners list last time out at $5.50, and the very talented Steffi Magnetica, a $7.50 chance.
I think Miss Rubini, this is her race. The little query, she just jumps up 6.5 kilos, which particularly for the mares is definitely worth a bit. But her, in our sort of data reports we send out to our subs, after her first up run, we said, look, this is as good as she's ever gone fresh, better. This is a real indicator that this mare is back in proper form. And then in the Sir Rupert Clark, I mean, she was huge coming from a long way back. She did have the 52 on her back, but she was great chasing home Seeples. We know that race is good because Seeples was off the map in the 2-rack handicap. Nothing went right for him there. And Angel Capital, who probably should have just about won the Sir Rupert Clark, produced the best last 200 metres of the race in the Everest last Saturday. So I think she's the one. I know she's 5 weeks between runs, but she's already had the run at 1,400 metres, and she's trained by Price Kent, who are pretty good at getting their horses ready with gaps between runs. They've got good stats there. Hippo in the saddle. He's riding as well as any jockey in Sydney at present, so she'll do me. The only thing I'll say is there's a few of these fancied runners, Roombini, Steffi and that are going to probably be in the second half of the field. So I'd have a little saver bet on number 9, Gerringong. I'm not convinced she's at her best after a gutbuster at Flemington's 3 starts ago, but I do think if she can go to the front, she's the kind of horse that could just cause a bit of a ball over from on top of the speed.
All right, that's a look at the Invitation. That's race number 9 on the program there Saturday at Randwick. All right, can we just, before we let you go, Nick, recap all the bets that you can hand out to the listeners?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think in the Spring Champion Stakes, hopefully you jumped on the 26 with Shangri-La Boy. If you did, or if you haven't and he's too short for you, just have a little small play each way on the 10 Crusader Voyage and the 14 She's a Diva. I think Miss Roombini takes out the Invitation. I think she should be too good, and just have a little saver bet on number 9, Gerringong. And guys, I'll probably keep my hands not in my pocket, out of the wallet, however you say it, and just wait. I think there's a couple of risk factors there with certain horses on Saturday. 5 Diamonds Prelude, Transatlantic, are they going to try and keep him to peak for that race, or are they backing off on him and going to peak him for the big one in a couple of weeks' time? It's fraught with a bit of danger, so just those 2 races for me.
All right, beautiful. Thank you very much, and we can head to the Beaten Favourite to check out all the stuff and get some... Yep.
Yeah, get on the beatenfavourite.com. Go and have a look now. So if you sign up now, it's free, and you get the free tip sheet this Saturday. You also got a 7-day free trial. We absolutely smashed it last week, guys. I normally don't gloat too much, but if you had $50 per unit on each of our bets, you would have won about $8,000 net. So we had River of Stars at $126. So we had a good look at her. So we've finally hit a bit of form after a couple of lean months, which is good.
Well, just quickly then, out of the Caulfield Cup, who's the one for the Melbourne Cup?
I think she is, because everyone's talking about Prasaz Nocturne, and look, with good reason too. He was first up for a while, but of the top 7 horses, first 7 across the line, only one horse was in the top 9 at the 600-metre mark, and that was River of Stars. She was the one that absorbed that really fast tempo. So I'm saying out to 3,200 metres, she's the one that can put herself on speed, make her own luck, and we know she runs the trip right out. So she'll do me each way in the Melbourne Cup out of the Caulfield Cup. Lovely. All right, look forward to doing it all again next week, Nick. Thank you. See you, boys. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Nick. There's Nick Ashman, all right, thebeatenfavourite.com.au. All right, welcome back to the Sports Daily. Taylor Cortland and David Short with you. This man in his normal slot, we couldn't quite get a hold of him, Shorty. He said his celebrations for the Caulfield Cup had just ended. Jules Valance, good morning.
Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, just got caught up in the moment of 48 hours ago. So anyway, we're right now. I apologise for that, but we're ready to cook.
No, all good, all good. So the Cox Plate, what are we thinking? This race sets up. It's intriguing on paper, trying to sort out the form.
Sure is. It's really interesting. I think there's going to be plenty of opinions out there. I mean, we've lost Globe this morning, and then I think that throws up some more sort of really interesting points of view, because I think there's going to be 4 or 5 different ideas of who's actually going to lead this race. So Nick and I sort of went through it earlier this morning on our show that we think there could be a real left field sort of leader, maybe the 3-year-old Nepotism, who's never showed any early speed in its life, but it's only hoped to sort of finish in the top 3. You would think would be on speed with that weight advantage. Light Infantryman, when he was actually over your neck of the woods, actually sat outside leader in a northerly, in a really fast race northerly when he drew gate 14. He's drawn the wide barrier. Does he roll forward, which I think would shock a lot of people? And then maybe Antino or Treasure the Moment. I mean, there's many variables that can happen in this race.
It really does throw that speed map up in the air with Globe coming out. It's going to be one hell of a race, so however you break it down. It might not be a vintage Cox Plate, Jules, but nonetheless, you look at the top-end talent and it is elite.
Yeah, and that's no doubting. I mean, let's only go back 12 months ago and Via Sustina, albeit, we were on the back of sort of Winks winning 4 and, Via Sustina, from my ratings, ran a bigger rating than Winks ever did. So Winks was able to do it 4 times in a row and plenty more times in other races as well. But that Via Sustina number will sit out there on an island that she has for a very long time. She's never been able to get back to it. The market still thinks she's, a chance to get back to it. I don't think it's possible. And to be honest, I think her last couple have been really, really plain. And I know there's been some excuses for it. And you can say Chris Weller's a grand final trainer and all that blah, blah, blah. But when you're taking 215, 210, those kinds of prices about her, you want everything sort of in your corner. And for me, that doesn't happen on Saturday.
All right. Is there a bet in the race then? All the money early on since the barrier draw has been with Treasure the Moment. I think there was $9 available early Tuesday. Now with Tab Touch into $5.50.
Yeah, second go 2,000 metres this prep is the only thing I reckon you can hang your hat on. First up, we've spoken about it, she was breathtaking winning the Memsie. It was just absolutely brilliant. And it was like, well, she's going to be the new Wait for Age star. And then she got that sort of colic issue. And her last 2 behind Pride of Jenny and then obviously behind Globe last start have only just been average. Now, does Damien Lane take her to the front and try and control the race? For me, I think if I was to bet in the race, and I'm not sure if I will, I'll be waiting right to the death. The only one I really want to be on is Antino. I think he just will be a Moonee Valley horse. I wouldn't be surprised if Blake Shin didn't do the 800 to 1,000 metre sort of whip around them. I've sort of got Blake probably leading this race and controlling it from there. And I think if he can do that, I don't think a horse like Via Sustina or anything else in the race can get past him. I think he's a real bend horse. We saw it at Doomben one year. We saw it at Caulfield, obviously, with the Toorak. I think Moonee Valley will suit him. I'd probably be with Antino in a tough race.
All right, so a strong push there for Antino. The entire 10-race card's a bottler there on Saturday. Jules, what else takes your fancy on the day?
Yeah, race 3. It's going to be interesting to see what this track does because there's sort of rainfall predicted Saturday. But if it doesn't come, then this track might become really, really dry and maybe lanes are going to be, better to be in. But I want to be with Trey Magnifique. Was really good winning at Ballarat Maiden. They get it to Ballarat Maiden, but that's been a hot form race. And then just behind Point Barrow on Caulfield Guineas Day, just had no luck whatsoever. Mark Zara just had to take his medicine and couldn't get out at any stage. I think this horse has got plenty of ability. The caveat is he's going to need luck. He doesn't have early gate speed. He's going to have to ride for luck, but if he gets it and can get the right backside at the right time, Trey Magnifique is what I want to be with in race 3.
Race 3, number 12, $5.50 with Tab Touch at the moment, $2.15 a place. Anything else you can push the listeners into?
Yeah, race 4, again, comes off Broadway a little bit. I'm going to be with the favourite who comes out of the 1,000 guineas, but I want to be with Sunlit Serenade. Just want to see more Maiden, I think, sort of came from the back. Again, it's drawn wide, so they probably go back from the gate. But I think it's the most progressive horse, and I think it's going to be an even better, maybe at a bigger distance than this. But I think at an each-way quote, I want a different form line to sort of what we've been seeing at the moment. And off-Broadway gives me that, and Sunlit Serenade each way might be the go.
All right. And then another one I wanted to ask you about, Observer. Short,
Yeah.
but do we take the $2?
I'm happy to take black figures about Observer. I think it just brings the right form line. He's still on the up. He was only second up into a Caulfield Guineas. You could argue that he probably just about wins the race. He definitely runs second if he doesn't, if he gets the luck at the right time. Ethan Brown jumped off and said this horse will stay. You could look at him through the line in the Caulfield Guineas, and he had plenty to give. Zara goes on. He's a positive rider. This horse, in its early in its prep when it was with James Cummings, would be positive and sit outside leader. I think he controls the race. I think he wins Saturday. I think he becomes a short price favourite for the Derby in a week's time.
And Jules, the former West Aussie Casino 17 goes around in race number 5, the JRA Cup over the 2040. Really nice performance last time out there in the Coonji over the 2,000 metres. I note there's been good support, 6 into $4.40. You're giving Casino 17 any hope there on Saturday?
I backed him. Yep, I backed it. I think that race was really good, that Coonji. I've got that race going really well. Now, that overall day, they did run lightning time. Gate 1, just going to need some luck at the right time. Probably got the right bloke on board. I want to be with it. Yeah, I've sort of been one of those people to snap up that early price. I think it's a cracking bet, Casino 17.
All right, $4.40 there. The horse looks like he's getting back to some of his best WA form as well at $4.40. All right, that's to go with Observer, $2 race 9, number 1. Sunlit Serenade, race 4, number 6 at $7. Trade Magnifique, number 3. Race 3, number 12, at $5.50. And we're still on the fence about Antino in the Cox Plate. Probably the on topper, but not overly keen there, Jules. Anything else we need to talk about?
No, just Gilded Water. Hopefully it can win its way into the Melbourne Cup. It obviously runs in the Geelong Cup this afternoon. It's a short price favourite. I think if it can win, he becomes a single figure price in the Melbourne Cup. He's going to be your left field horse, a bit different to the Caulfield Cup form line. He might be the one, but he's got to get the job done. He needs to win. If he doesn't run, if he runs second, gets beaten in the nose, he's cast. He must win today.
$3.50 Observer for a Victoria Derby.
I'd take that.
All right.
Yep.
Gee whiz.
I'd be taking that.
Lovely. Like it. Thank you very much, Jules. Enjoy the day.
Thanks, Paulie. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
See you
mate.
guys.